I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage, and I am the technical chairperson for the Southern California region of the Rolls-Royce Owners Club. Today we're going to cover installing door seals on a Silver Cloud. I'll start by showing you what's available for replacement parts. It sells a lot of seals and parts for these cars. It's a great source. They have door seals, which I will lay out here, which are very similar to the original ones. Unfortunately, I don't like them, only because I'm opinionated and done this so long. I find them very difficult to put on. As you can see, everybody can look around here. This section right here is made to glue against the body, and then this folded part is what seals against the door. And that's the way they were when the car was original. Fortunately for us nowadays, there are other options. If you want to go for the 100-point concours car, I recommend you do this, but you may have some wind noise and water leaks. I prefer to use this nice extruded foam rubber. It's very soft. You can see it's got a wide base. It's very forgiving when you put it in. I use two different types for two different areas. And you see the profiles there. But this is really soft. Go ahead and touch it. Go ahead and see how that feels there.
Yes.
It's and then compare to this, which gives a lot, but it's a hard rubber, and it's just not as forgiving. And over the years, I've found that this works much better.
Where do you get that one?
Now this I get from Restoration Specialties and Supply Company. I forget what state they're in, but their website is restorationspecialties.com. And there are two pieces of rubber that I use. I use this one. This is the number 4114. They have a great little search window. You just type in that number, and you can buy it in 50-foot sections or by the foot. Each door takes, I use about 3 foot, and this only goes on the pillar area. The other part around the door frame and the window and all that is 4744, and that takes about 11 feet per door. Okay? The other things you're going to need for this, besides the seal, is you're going to need some good weather strip glue. I use this 3M, the model number is 08008. They call it the Black Super Weather Strip Sealer. Comes in black or yellow. I like the black because it matches the rubber. If you're messy, the yellow is probably more forgiving unless you have a dark car. Okay? And then you will need some acid brushes. Now, I use that to spread the glue. The glue is a contact cement, so you have to put a thin layer on the body and a thin layer on the rubber. Give them a few minutes to change color. They kind of go flat color, and then you stick them together. Once you stick them, they're stuck. Okay? So I spread it on with these brushes. You can buy these at any hardware store, but this is to put the glue on. It just is too soft. So what I do is I take a pair of scissors and I cut them down. You don't have to go to the barber to do this. And I make them about like that. So you still have a flexible brush, but it's something that you can stick someplace and it's not going to wander off on you. Okay? You need to replace the seals. So let's see how easily they come off. Normally, the cars, if it's original, it turns into like concrete almost. We're lucky that Steve has just painted this car, and this is pretty new. I'll try not to peel off the paint with the rubber. He would be pretty upset with me. Okay, as you can see, this is coming off nice. This is pretty recently been put on.
Hell of a job, Steve.
I couldn't ask for more. That's great.
It's like you did that on purpose. Now, because that's so new, that's coming off easy and more time to be tougher.
Generally, the rubber will be really hard, like I said, and what'll happen is you'll try to peel it, and lots of it'll stay behind.
And you'd use a putty knife?
A putty knife or a modified screwdriver. You need something fairly narrow to get in here. You don't have, like 7/16 of an inch, something like that. This is pretty fresh and pretty new paint, so we're going to be real lucky on that.
A small crank neck wood chisel will work.
Yeah, but be careful not to chisel too much.
Well, you can always just dull the corners.
Yeah. I use, I have a lot of little modified tools for that. All right, so that was pretty easy. I can't promise that on everything else. There are a lot of ways you can do this. There are these little kits right here with plastic scrapers, which are pretty handy. This one's a wide one. They come in different, Griot sells them. A lot of, even Harbor Freight sells these things, I think. You can modify them. So in other words, if you wanted to use this one and it's too wide, you can take it to a grinder or a sander, and the plastic's going to melt and fold up on you, but wait till it cools and it just pops off usually, and you can modify it to the right size. That is good because it won't mar the paint. That's what's really good about or it won't hurt the paint. Here's something that I use for gasket scraping on like a valve cover that has a narrow groove, and you can see it's just basically an old Craftsman screwdriver that I cut the bit off of and cut an angle on it. And you can, if you round the corners a little bit, it won't dig in as much and you won't take chunks of metal. Here's another, this is a snap-on gasket scraper that I narrowed for a particular purpose. And this has a hardened end on it, and it's really good for a lot of things around transmissions and all that kind of stuff. I don't think, wow, see, it's almost the right size. So basically and then if all else fails, just use a nice screwdriver. It's a little, not too sharp. Basically, you want to get the high chunks off. This is fresh glue, so we're fortunate on this. If you got big chunks of glue, you're going to have to get down, because otherwise you won't have a flat surface for the rubber to seal against completely. So, as far as I can see, this is pretty good most of the way. Oh, this is, that had a backing on it, that rubber, didn't it?
Should you use a solvent to get rid of the glue, or is that going to wreck the paint?
You can do that, but you have to use something that's not going to hurt the paint. Now, if it's an old car, the lacquer paint will come off pretty easy. Modern cars with the urethane finishes on them, the clear base, they're pretty tough. Acrosol is something you can buy like automotive body shops will work. And you can use like turpentine. Lacquer thinner will cut right to it, but it'll eat your paint more than likely, so I wouldn't recommend that. All right. So what we're going to start with, or I'm going to start with, if you look, this is the 4744. This is the long strip that you're going to need. And you want the pointed end to go towards the middle. In other words, you want the pointed end to seal against this, like that. You don't want it like this, although it sounds good, but it won't seal properly because the window frame isn't a perfect seal against there. You want that extra high. So in other words, you face it this direction. Or like this direction. And you wonder what we're going to do when we get to the corner. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to miter it. So what you want it, when it comes to the corner, you don't want to just do that. That's not correct. You want it actually, what I do is I take scissors and I try to cut a 45-degree angle, since that's a 90 in the corner there. And these are big trimmer shears, so normal scissors will work just fine. Think about this.
Yeah, you were right.
I just have to rethink it. It's the old saying, measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Okay. So basically, is what you want is you want it to look like that. Does everybody see that? Okay. Depending upon how much of a perfectionist you are, which I am sort of, you can just keep trimming that until you get it to where you like the look.
You can actually start in the corner when you set that.
Well, that's what you're going to see. And the other joints are not as critical. That's the one that's most critical, because that's right here. And if you don't get it right, water's going to come in and you're going to get that whistle right behind your head on this side. So
Yes, right.